So when I was a little kid, my dad would ask me to come help him change the brake pads on his car. And I would help by either pumping the brakes to make sure they were working or passing him the occasional tool that he was unable to reach. Unfortunately, as a young child, I didn't understand how these tools worked. And I couldn't see what my dad was doing because he thought it best I wasn't under the car with him. So I had to serve like a little archaeologist and look at the shape of the tool through the dirt and the grime to come up with a hypothesis as to how the tool was used. In my thesis, I continue this investigative tradition, and I found that toolboxes are not the only things that have tools. Viruses do too, and they're called proteins. I study a family of viruses called coronaviruses, in particular, bat coronaviruses. And you may be familiar with a few coronaviruses, such as SARS from the outbreak in southern China in 2002, or the MERS outbreak in Saudi Arabia in 2013. And even though there have been other investigative infections since then, we still don't have an effective treatment. So, by studying coronaviruses in bats, we can look to see the changes or the things that remain the same from the bat coronaviruses to the human infectious coronaviruses. And by using a technology similar to the MRI from what you would see at your local hospital, I can look on the atomic level, the motion, the structure, and the activity of these proteins. And what I found is quite interesting. It turns out that the bat coronaviruses have regions within their proteins that are very similar to those that are in the human coronaviruses, such like SARS. And this characterizes a potential druggable target that can be used in the fight against these coronaviruses. And even more, this can be used to help against the fight against coronaviruses that will evolve to infect humans in the future. Overall, I may not be able to see what these proteins look like and what they do with my own eyes, but what I can do is I can look at the structure, and that will give me insight, valuable insight into how these proteins function overall.